let's start off with the first question, and one that when I told people we were going to talk to you guys, they wanted me to ask you, why a snake?
Well, my background is quite different from the usual game designer, I think, because I used to be a biology teacher and I actually have a master in biology.
Oh, okay.
So during university I had two pet snakes. So I've got a background very much related to snakes.
Yeah.
I came into the game industry by being very active in the community of Little Big Planet and Spore.
Okay, right.
Two games that allow you to create content as a community member and put that online, and other people start playing with it. And I got really a huge kick out of the idea that people were having fun with the stuff I was creating.
Yeah.
So it's kind of quite addicted to it. And while I was teaching as a day job every night, I would create lots of stuff.
Sorry, just turn it around, it'll be alright.
And so after doing that for about 5 years, I was a teacher for 4.5 years, and I've been creating content for about 5 years. I've suddenly got an email from Sumo Digital if I wanted to work with them on Little Big Planet 3. So at that point I quit my biology teacher job.
Yeah.
I moved to England and I became a game designer.
Oh, okay.
So initially I worked on Little Big Planet for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite game at that point.
Yeah.
And then Little Big Planet was done, and I had to move on to a new project. But all I knew was the Little Big Planet engine.
Yeah.
The project that was going to be moved on was Crackdown 3, which uses Unreal Engine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Sumo Digital gave me 2 weeks, roughly, to try to learn the Unreal Engine so I could be useful on the new project.
Yeah.
During that period, the way I learn new software in general is just click things and then set a goal and try to make that goal. One of the things I was trying to using as a learning experience was I wanted to make a rope that would swing when the player walks into it, for just like a 3D character. And while I was making this rope, I wanted the rope to be like fully physical. And when I at some point pressed play to see if it worked, I didn't attach it to anything. And when I saw the rope fall on the floor in this really nice smooth shape that was colliding with itself, I thought, I've never seen anything like that. That motion looks so smooth and satisfying.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can control this thing as a character. So the very first prototype was actually a rope sliding over the floor.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And then when I saw that, I instantly thought back to my pet snakes. So I decided I'm going to make a snake out of it. So I made the slidey rope into... I put all the knowledge I had about snakes and muscles into it to start making it work like a snake as well.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about as well. Because, like, for me, kind of as a player, like, the most intriguing thing and interesting thing about Snake Pass is the way it controls. Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of feel like, obviously, you can tell me the story or whatever, that maybe during development, that maybe did it ever cross your mind to make the controls a bit more simple, more easy to use? Like, do you think because it's so different to anything else?
Yeah,
like,
well, the controls have been a concern from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But the motions that you do in 3D space in Snake Pass are so complicated that you almost have to have some kind of complicated control scheme to do that. And we managed to actually get all the motions that the snake can do. Yeah. We mapped them to 3 buttons. I mean, it's basically the right trigger, the left stick, and the X button.
Yeah.
So all the complicated moves that you see and that you can do with the snake are essentially mapped to 3 buttons. So that's the bare minimum you can do this in.
Yeah.
And we did actually. Our last year, EGX Rest was the first time we showed it to the public, and that was kind of a make or break moment. We only had a demo at that point, and we wanted to know is there actually an audience for this game? Is it worth developing further? And that was the first time we showed it to the public. And what we actually did was we secretly were A/B testing, so we only had 2 screens at that point, and they both had different control schemes. And after players were done, we asked them to rate their experience and the controls, and then we developed the one with the highest rating into what it is now. But there was also the moment where a lot of the concerns that we had and that the bosses had about the controls started to disappear, because we saw that even people who totally sucked at controlling Noodle were still smiling ear to ear and cheering at Noodle and going, oh, ooh, ah. So we realized that, the controls are difficult, but that's not necessarily a showstopper. We can just go on further, because even when you suck, it's still fun.
I definitely noticed that, because at the start, when I started playing it, wasn't that great. It wasn't terrible, but I was still having fun.
Yeah.
Like even kind of just watching the way like Noodle like flips about and knocks off stuff. I found interesting and kind of kept me going. One of the kind of more interesting comparisons that kind of when I spoke to people is kind of from the old Rare games. So Banjo-Kazooie and obviously Playtonic doing ukulele now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those kind of comparisons?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's intentional.
Okay, is that from like the graphical point of view, collectibles kind of thing?
Yeah, well, initially because of my biology background and because I had these pet snakes, the very first prototype snake that I made was based on one of my pet snakes, so it was very realistic.
Yeah.
And when we showed that to people, we got a lot of reactions that people got creeped out by it, because people have an inherent fear of snakes. So and the realistic look plus the realistic motion made just people go like, ugh. So that for us was an eye-opener in the sense that that's actually stopping people from embracing the game.
Yeah.
So we realized we need to make the world's cutest snake. So we had about 5 different versions of the head, every time trying to make him even more appealing, even more cute.
Yeah.
And then we realized that a character like that fits in a cartoony world. And then we pretty much decided to try to make an homage to the the platformers from the 90s that we grew up with and that we all love.
Yeah.
So especially in comparison to old Rare games, I see that as a huge compliment. That's exactly what we were trying to do.
You didn't feel any extra pressure because of that?
No.
Stick it in your
We
stride.
just made what we loved, and like those are the type of games that I grew up with, and I have the best memories of that area of gaming, when it was all about fun and about exploration and about getting better at the character and like the curiosity. It's almost those old school games are much more a dialogue between the player and the designer. Like the designer constantly goes like, "Oh, can you pull this off? Can you do that?" And the player goes, "Oh, I wonder what the next thing is that they have in store for me." And nowadays with the trend of open world, it seems that dialogue between the player and the designer is disappearing a bit.
Totally agree. Snake Pass is obviously on the Nintendo Switch, so again, I guess it's quite good exposure for you guys because the console's only just come out, and Snake Pass is kind of seen as the first sort of, I guess, biggish sort of game. You know, it's got a lot of exposure. Yeah. How has it been kind of working with the Switch? What's your kind of early thoughts of the Switch?
So we got when we started developing, it was going to be a Steam-only game.
Okay.
It was going to be a quick, short game, more as a promotional thing, and the prototype that we showed in EJX Res last year was pretty much what we were planning to release. But then we got this massive response from the public and all kinds of interested parties like Nintendo and PlayStation. They were all like, "Oh, this is so great! Let's talk about it. Let's talk what we can do with this." So that came as sort of as a surprise for us that it was. Like I said, we were wondering if there was even an audience, and it turned out that there was definitely an audience, and also all these publishers and big parties were all interested in the idea. Sorry, what was it going? What's the question again?
Just working with the Nintendo Switch.
Right. Yeah. So it was only November last year that we got the actual dev kits from Nintendo, and pretty much all game developers, we refused to take our holidays, so at the end of the year we all got forced to take our holidays, so the whole of December was pretty much off. So we only really started looking at the actual port in January this year. And well, obviously for both Nintendo and Epic, the makers of Unreal, it was very much in their interest to make this work, because obviously Nintendo wants the Switch to be a success, and having the most powerful engine that's out there work on their machine was really important to them. So we essentially had a direct line to Nintendo and a direct line to Epic, and whenever we spotted a problem that we couldn't directly solve, we would just keep those bring those two parties together, and they would solve it for us.
So Nintendo are pretty easy to work with.
Oh, they've been absolutely amazing to us. Yeah, from the beginning that they showed interest in the game, they've tried everything they could to help us make it into a success. And when we got the dev kits, I initially had some when we got the dev kits way before anyone else knew what the Switch was going to look like, our initial reaction on a lot of people was, "Ooh, I don't know about this Nintendo. This is a very risky move." But knowing that the PC that I create this game on is like top of the super powerful PC, and the video card in my PC alone is like 4 or 5 times the size of a Switch. So when a coder first handed me the Switch with our game running on it, I was literally going, how is this even possible? And I was instantly sold on the Switch. I knew it was going to be a success.
Final question. What now for Snake Pass? First game's out.
Yeah.
Are you thinking towards a Snake Pass 2, or
I don't want to jump ahead of things too much.
Sorry to rush you.
It seems like it's doing well, and that was probably the depending factor, because the design it was a small team and with a small budget, really strict time constraints. So a lot of the ideas that we came up with, we didn't have time to put them in properly, so we ended up not putting them in at all.
Yeah.
And we have tons of ideas and concepts and interesting, difficult challenges, even more difficult than the final bit of the game, that we couldn't get into this one. So we have a ton of stuff that we could use for DLC or for a Snake Pass 2, and we'd all love to do it, but it very much depends on if it's profitable for us, because this is our first little game. And then Sumo is a big company, but we've never done anything of our own. This is our first IP.
Yeah.
So there's just huge financial risk and also the risk of reputation. But at the moment, it seems like both are going to be. We're selling pretty well at the moment. We're getting awesome feedback from players, and it's looking very good. So yeah, I definitely hope that we get a chance to put all the other ideas that we have in it. And personally, the idea of DLC, I really like that, because we essentially in this game, because it's so new, we have to use almost a half of the game to learn you how to play the game.
Yeah.
And when we do DLC, we can assume that everybody who buys it knows how to play the game. They know exactly how to control Noodle. So then we can bring out the really crazy stuff that we know Noodle can do, but was just like too risky to put in the game.
Yeah. So you think maybe kind of DLC might be the way if you guys are allowed to do that, basically?
Yeah. If this is successful, I think the chances that we'll do some kind of DLC are very high. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be successful.
It's definitely looking that way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we've played it, and like other people I know spoke to have played it, and not a bad word really, to be honest with you. So it's pretty awesome. Like I said, it's really unique. It's really unique. There's nothing else like it. So awesome, excellent.
And it just gets better. Like I've worked on quite a few games now, and usually by the time it's out, you're just so sick of your game, you don't want to play it anymore. But this game, I've played with Noodle for maybe thousands of hours. I don't even know anymore. And now, still, when the designer next to me built some kind of bamboo contraption, I almost want to pull the controller out and let me try it. I still really enjoy climbing things with Noodle, and the feeling when you do exactly what you plan to do, when you nail it, there's nothing like it. And
it's nothing better than that. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, Seb.
You're welcome.
Thank you.